What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Chanel from Complex Simplicity. Happy Thursday. Hope that you had an amazing day. It was hot as ever in the tri-state area on the East Coast, but we made it through. I think there's a little bit of a breeze. Sorry, I'm talking too fast. There was a little bit of a breeze this evening, which is great. So I kind of wanted to do a vlog sticking with the similar subject matter that I discussed in my last vlog about 2 days ago. I was talking about the male perspective of or the male perspective on relationships from Jay-Z's 444 album Footnotes. And it seems like that just coincidentally has been the theme of a lot of conversations that I have had this week with coworkers, with girlfriends, with my husband, just in general. And so I said, you know what? Let's keep this relationship subject train going, right? And so I want to tackle it from a little bit of a different angle. On my way home, as I always say, I have about a 45-minute to an hour commute to and from work every day. And on the way home from work, traffic can be insane, right? And a lot of times that's where my music is like everything to me. That's where if I'm listening to an audio book, that helps the time to go by. So I've always been a fan of Michael Baisden, and I recently subscribed to his podcast, the Michael Baisden Show podcast. And he, of course, a lot of the times talks about relationships, how men think, how women think, has a lot of callers, calling in to give their feedback, their thoughts on whatever topic he's tackling for the day. And so I listened to quite a few because my commute took me over an hour to get home today. And I said, yes, this is inspiring me to keep talking about this topic of relationships. And since it's been a theme in so many of my conversations this week, it just only made sense. So I kind of want to narrow down and speak more about how it's so easy for us, especially as women, to lose ourselves when we get into relationships. And I'll use myself as an example. When I first started dating my now husband several years ago, it was just so easy. It was so new. It was just that butterfly feeling you get in your stomach. It was just like, oh, life is great, right? And so I was always a young lady who was into singing, dancing, of course, hanging out with my girlfriends. Like, I had a very involved and full life. So you figure when I graduated from college and moved back home with my parents, I was going to concerts heavy with like my sister-in-law at the time. I was still partying out here. Of course, I had my girlfriends who I'd get up with. I was big on music, as you know, so I had a singing group that I was still singing with. I was very active in my church as a solo artist. So I had quite a few things happening. And when I started dating my now husband, I kind of cleared everything that was on my plate with the exception of family and friends. So my days of singing dissipated. My days of being involved in things that I'd be able to express my artistic voice kind of was removed from that plate, and I consumed the plate with my boyfriend at the time, was my now husband, and of course family and my girlfriends. One thing I give myself, because I was young, I was about 23 years old, I never traded in my friends for a man. That was one thing I was adamant about. I said, because if this relationship doesn't work, then I would look like a real scumbag, tossing my friends to the curb, dealing with this guy, he breaks my heart or it just doesn't work out, and then, hey girl, you remember me? Let's hang out, because I hated when people did that to me. We were friends, we were tight, but then you get a man and you don't know nobody, and then when that relationship don't work out, you want to be like, let me call Chanel. Ding, 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 ding. No, we ain't fitting to do that. So that's one thing I didn't do. I kept my friends around. I think in some way, I felt that keeping them around helped to keep me grounded, because when you're first in a relationship that's new and it's everything to you, your head is kind of in the clouds, right? Sometimes it's hard to really see what's in front of you and what it really is in the very beginning. And I was single my whole college career, and the guys that I were into weren't really into me the way that I was into them. So this was like a man who was like pursuing me like none other. So my head was like in the clouds, and I was like 100% with it. And so I kept my girlfriends around because I wanted them to be able to pull me out if necessary, right? If I was getting a little bit too deep, if I was like having such an imbalanced life, I needed them to be like, friend, come, it's okay. Let's breathe, right? And so my now husband, when we were dating, I think, he was into basketball. He played for different basketball leagues. He was already a parent, so he had to still, make sure that he spent time with his child. He was huge on family like I was, so there were a lot of times that he had to, spend time and help his family out. I felt like, he had his friends, a whole crew of friends, way more friends than I had. And of course, he still needed to be connected to them. So I felt like with him, he had this full plate and he was trying to find a way to squeeze me in. Whereas I had a decent sized plate, but was eliminating things by the minute and filling it with him. And so I say this whole long drawn out analogy to say, it's so easy for us, especially as women, to lose ourselves in relationships, to forget what our drive is, what our purpose is, what our goals are for ourselves, and just make everything about the relationship. When 9 out of 10 times who you're dating is still making sure that their life remains how it was prior to you entering. And I think that it's just so important for us to not lose ourselves. And I'm glad that I caught it after a while, after several years, if I'm being completely honest, where I said, I have to have stuff for me other than just friends and family. Like, Chanel, you have your own hobbies. You had a life. I was a happy single person. I wasn't someone like, when is it going to be my turn? And I can't get a man and men ain't ish. And I was a happy single person enjoying my life, right? So it's like, Chanel, don't lose the essence of what your interests were, your hobbies were. You still have to be able to express yourself artistically. Like, don't let any relationship swallow you up to where you forget that, right? And so this is even where this website is a huge vehicle for my artistic expression. Like I always say, it's so therapeutic for me because I'm able, at a one-stop shop, I'm able to kind of express all of my passions and hobbies, right? And so even though it took me a while to kind of get back to the things that I loved to do, I'm glad that I did it, and even as a wife, it's uber and so important to me, for me to not lose myself in the marriage, right? I still have to have my time to be musical. I still have to have my time to do this website. I still have to have my time to pursue my own personal goals and dreams, to pursue my weight loss goals, like whatever, to pursue my career goals. Like, just because you're married or in a committed relationship doesn't mean your world stops. You're just sharing your world with someone else. And yes, the art of compromise is very important, but that doesn't mean that one should lose themselves in the relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because a person can't be your end all be all. I always say this to a lot of my single girlfriends. A man or a woman, they cannot be your end all be all in life. Like, you still have to have other things going for yourself, right? We can't be in our spouses or significant others' face and company 24/7, right? Unless you're like on vacation together. We can't be around each other all day, every day. You still have to be able to survive and enjoy your life, and God forbid if your relationship were to end, it's good that you still had your own stuff going for you, right? And so I thought of just kind of putting that out there and discussing that briefly with you, for us to just try not to lose ourselves in our marriages and in our relationships. I think we have more to offer and bring to the table when we're balanced within our own lives, when we're feeling fulfilled within our own lives. There's more that you can add to your relationship on both sides. You know what I'm saying? So please, ladies particularly, let's not lose ourselves. Let's not lose our sense of self. Let's not lose our personal goals, our career goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, bucket list goals. Like, keep all of those things, because at the end of the day, like I said, relationships, marriages, they're not what's going to make one happy and joyful all day, every day. One has to be happy within themselves. I have to be happy within myself. And when you're happy within yourself and the other person you're with is happy within themselves, you have the makings for a healthy marriage or a healthy relationship, as opposed to being imbalanced, or as opposed to putting your life aside, for your significant other. You know what I'm saying? So it's just I want to throw that out there as some encouragement for you. Comment under this vlog. Let me know what your perspective and thoughts are, and continue to head to complexsimplicity.com. Until next time.